Hi there, Wilson. My name is Ellen, and I will be doing these essay corrections with you. I'm very happy to see that you have begun the course. Great job. Let's take a look now at your first set of essays. The first one is about schools being more entertaining, so let's see what you said. Over a long period of time, there are numerous discussions about whether education should purely be just teaching or including more entertaining elements into it. Although there are some downsides for making the lesson more entertaining, I believe that the benefits of it would overperform the disadvantages of it. In the passage below, reasons will be discussed along with examples provided regarding to the reasons stated. Okay, well, you've done a handful of things here that I really like. For example, I really liked your position. That is, I like the way you expressed it. You had this nice complex sentence here, and it seems that you're going to discuss both sides of the essay, and I think that's a very wise thing to do. So you did that, and I think that was great. However, there were some areas of awkwardness in the language you used, and that's what I want to kind of spend a minute or two talking about. Okay? So over a long period of time, you needed a different tense here. So there have been rather, numerous discussions about whether education should be, you can't just say purely and just, you have to choose one. So whether education should be just teaching or if it should include more entertaining elements in it. Okay. Although there are some downsides for making the lesson more entertaining, I believe that the benefits of it would outperform. And that doesn't make sense either. You can't outperform the disadvantages. The better word here would probably be outweigh. The benefits of it would outweigh the disadvantages. And then you don't need to say of it again because you said it here. So it's implied. And this is an example of ellipsis, okay, where you can leave out some words and the meaning is understood by the reader. So, in the passage below, reasons will be discussed along with examples. And then this I thought was awkward. So, you could have why don't you just use what you have been learning in the template, learning in the course. So, just something like in the passage below, reasons will be discussed along with examples to support my viewpoint. Okay, so let's move on now. On one hand, teaching classes in a more entertaining way could bring enormous benefit. Okay. In the long term is the expression here. Now here you want an S apostrophe because you don't want the interest of one student, but you want the interest of all students. So students, apostrophe, interest will be stimulated from having fun during their learning process, which would also encourage them to develop a lifelong learning habit. Okay. Also, students would have an easier time memorizing the course materials. Research from educational psychology found that teachers who are able to trigger students' S apostrophe positive emotions resulted in a higher memory performance with the taught content. For these reasons, many children have demanded school. What? Many people have demanded. I don't understand this grammar here. Have demanded that schools provide a more entertaining and interactive way of teaching for their children. Okay, so there was a little bit of a grammar problem here. I thought you did a very nice job. This was good. It was on topic, and that's very nice to see. A lot of people have problems with this topic. You did not. You understood it, and you were answering on that. If there was one thing I wanted to see, I want to encourage you anytime you have a main idea to provide support for that idea. So you had support here, research from the educational psychology, etc., etc. But you had this, which was left unsupported. It's a good idea to support all of the main ideas that you have, okay? And you can find in the band descriptors that this is discussed as well. Okay, so let's move on. On the other hand, a significant portion of people suggested, I don't know why it's suggested here, it should just be present tense, suggest that education should solely focus on education. That doesn't sound right. Education should solely focus on education. Maybe you mean on academics. That would have been a better choice here. because of the limited resources together with other reasons. Okay, this is a little awkward here, this with other reasons. You could have said this a little differently. Let me show you what I mean. So education should focus solely on academics, in part because of the limited resources available. Done. All right, when you say in part, you're explaining to us that, yeah, okay, we understand that there are more reasons, but you're focusing now on just this one. This to me just felt a little bit awkward. Okay, so there are, there are just other ways to say what you're trying to say, but in a way that sounds more fluid. Or you could have said including limited, here, should focus solely on education because of numerous reasons, including limited resources available. Okay, that was another way you could have done it. Firstly, an entertaining teaching style does not make improvements to students who have a poor attitude towards, is the word you want, learning. Okay, why? What do you mean by that? Secondly, a large portion of the students who have average or higher intelligent quality, who have average or higher intelligence may not feel a difference among the two learning styles with an S. Okay, explain it. What do you mean? Thirdly, they stated, who is they? That education should cover as many people as possible with the given limited resources, which the effort spend on adding entertaining content could be saved to benefit more people who does not have a chance of being educated. Okay, grammar here is a real issue. Let's see. Okay, so thirdly, it is stated that education should cover as many people as possible with the given limited resources, and the effort spent on adding entertaining content could be saved to benefit more people who do not have, I don't understand this, a chance of being educated. I don't really know that I understand that. To benefit more people who otherwise would not receive an education? I'm not really sure. I don't know about that. I have a question mark there. A survey has revealed that only less than 1/4 of people has received higher education or further in most developed countries. Thus, education was claimed to be a precious resource and should only focus on just educating. Okay, so you had 3 main ideas here and you only had one piece of support. And so this is the kind of thing that I want you to avoid doing. It would have been a wise idea, rather than having 3 main ideas, really you only need 2. Okay, you don't need to go to a third, but make sure that you support them. And just to show you why I'm so adamant about this, let me show you. Okay, band descriptors. Writing task 2, this is task response. Go to band 7 and it says presents, extends, and supports main ideas. So if you want to be considered for a 7, you have to support all of your main ideas. Okay, look what happens at a 6. Presents relevant main ideas, but some may be inadequately developed. So this is what happens if you're not developing all of your main ideas. Okay, it's the difference between a 6 and a 7 for task achievement. So let's look at your conclusion. In short, from the arguments and examples given, I believe that quality is far more important than quantity. Way more is very colloquial. It's something we speak, it's something we say, but it's not something we write. Higher quality education should encourage a greater learning, again, this is a really informal word here, vibe, over the society and lead to better outcomes by producing more self-motivated learners through an entertaining education style. Okay, fine. A lot of nice elements in your writing, a lot of nice grammar, a lot of nice vocabulary. So you've got the nice skeleton down, the bones for good writing. But we need to work on some of these other areas, like task achievement and making sure that you are developing your answer appropriately. Now, we do have another essay to go look at, so let's do that now. This is about enjoyable activity with a child. There have been numerous debates on whether parents should spend their time doing enjoyable activities or reading with their child for better skills development and creativity. I believe that doing leisure activities is a better way to go. This is a little conversational. Just you could have said is a better alternative or is a better option. Much better way of saying this. In the coming paragraphs, the two views will be discussed along with examples. Okay, now you don't need to discuss both views. I think it's a good idea to do so. But you should make it clear to us in your introduction why you're going to. You just told me that it asks you to what extent do you agree or disagree. You haven't told me to what extent. You just said that I believe doing leisure activities is a better way to go. Okay? And then you tell me, you know what? I'm going to talk about both. So make it clear to me why you're going to talk about both. And it's not that difficult to do. You could have just said, while reading can provide A, B, C, D, on the whole, I believe that doing leisure activities is a much better option. Then it makes sense that you're going to talk about both. Okay, does that make sense? So, it's a great idea to write both sides of the essay, but make sure that you mention the reason why you're going to do that in your introduction. Let's move on. On one hand, it is proven that doing activities that are fulfilling would lead to much healthier personal development. Positive emotions are essential to creativity and skills development. This positive emotion occurs frequently when a child is involved in activities that he desires to do with their parents. Wait, what's going on here? A child, his parents, or his or her, you could have said. Also, a child can learn from their parents when they spend their time together, which is one of the most effortless ways for learning. For example, there was a survey that interviewed children who spent time playing board games with an S with their parents. Now, there's something happening with your grammar here. For example, a survey that interviewed children who spent time playing board games with their parents found that what happened here? Generally has higher intelligent quality than child. Okay, no, you're missing some words here. Found that these children had higher intelligence, CE, than children who just read most of the time. For these reasons, spending quality time with a child on an enjoyable activity is considered an excellent approach, is considered an excellent approach for them to have better development. Okay. You mentioned creativity here. You mentioned skills development. You didn't really tell us what skill. Oh, you said intelligence is being developed. Okay. All right, so let's move on. On the other hand, there are people who argue, present tense, that you don't have to put it in the past, that reading is the best option for skills and creativity development. Okay, claiming that books contain most of the knowledge needed for certain skills and creativity, as well as a higher volume of knowledge can be acquired from books compared with the same amount of time being spent on participating activities. All right, that's a little problematic. I didn't understand the sentence because there's some problems with the grammar. Let's take a look at it again. All right, this is the sentence in question. So, claiming that books contain most of the knowledge needed for certain skills and creativity. I see what you're trying to say. Okay, you're talking about these people. So what you're saying here really is they claim that books contain most of the knowledge needed for certain skills and creativity as well. All right, no, you know what? Full stop. Let's not make this too complicated. And then, additionally, higher volumes, ES, of knowledge can be acquired from books compared with the same amount of time spent, get rid of being, on activities. Okay, so I had to clean up quite a bit of this to make it work. It's still not 100% how I would like it. There's still some awkwardness even in my corrections. That's what I mean. But I think it's a better fit here. Okay. Now, rather than saying they, because we don't know who these people are, you could have done this with the passive voice. So, it is also stated that it is a much more straightforward way to learn a particular skill from a relevant book. Research, without the A, was conducted several years ago showing that all kinds, S, of knowledge needed for childhood can be found from books with an S. Thus, it is possible to state beyond doubt that a child can possibly learn everything needed just by reading. Okay, so let's look at your conclusion. To conclude, I strongly believe that doing an enjoyable activity could bring a lot of positive experience and encouragement, which would facilitate a child to learn more effectively. It is predicted the ability a child possesses from what? Would develop at a faster rate during a later age. Okay. So, there's some awkwardness with the grammar, Wilson, as you know, as we've already talked about. I want to talk about a couple of other things. Again, the main thing is task achievement here for me. A child can develop better skills and creativity. I kind of feel like the only skill you talked about was really intelligence. All right, here you talked about knowledge. Okay, you talked about a skill, but you didn't really go into any detail about that because even though you talked about skill, again, you talked about knowledge. And then they can learn everything just by reading. So it's really just about the acquisition of knowledge is what you talked about. Here, I think you talked about intelligence again. Okay. So while you mentioned the word creativity, you never actually talked about it. It was just a mention. And so you can find here, they talked about skills and creativity. The fact that they separated creativity shows you that they really want you to spend some time talking about this. In fact, I would go so far as saying, talk about skills in one paragraph and talk about creativity in another paragraph. That's the way I would like to see this done. Let's see. Now, I also would have liked to see a little bit more in terms of skills than just intelligence and just knowledge. What about things like fine motor skills? What about like eye-hand coordination? What about like teamwork? What about critical thinking? So there were a lot of different things you could have talked about here. I wanted to see more skills. Okay. Leadership abilities. I mean, there are tons. The list goes on. And I didn't really get a lot of that here. You just talked about, again, knowledge, intelligence, and so forth. Okay. So, it's a nice first set of essays. You have right now, I think, some feedback that will help you progress. Okay. It's a lot of information, especially at the beginning of the course. But I think that this information is really helpful to, get through the rest of your essays and to, have all this information from the first set. So go ahead, correct these essays. That's the first thing I want you to do. Correct them based on the feedback in this video. Then you're going to write an error correction list. So what you need to do is write down the mistakes and next to each mistake what the correct version is. All right, and that's a list you'll add to with each essay you get back from us. And then, of course, the third thing you need to do is to send us your next set of essays. So I'll be waiting for them. So go ahead, get started. Try to do this all within the next day or so. And we'll meet back here with your next set. Good luck.